Malkins. Simply buy a Streetwise 2, write your name and contact number on the back of your till receipt, and put your receipt in the entry box provided in the store.
Good evening, Eswatini, and welcome to the 8 p.m. news broadcast brought to you by Eswatini TV. My name is Nondobego Nzabgelogo. Let's take a look at tonight's headlines. The Minister of Home Affairs, Princess Lindiwe, has announced that August 31 will be the Umhlanga holiday. The Acting Minister of Information, Communication and Technology, Mangoba Khumalo, says government is committed to ensuring that the internet and different forms of ICT soon become affordable and accessible for all. The Ministry of Health has received 19 doctors from Cuba who have come to help Eswatini fight the coronavirus. The news. The Minister for Home Affairs, Princess Lindiwe, has announced that August 31 will be the Umhlanga holiday.
The announcement by His Majesty King Mswati III to cancel the wreath dance ceremony. The Ministry of Home Affairs, in respect of the Public Holiday Act, declares Monday, 31st August 2020, a public holiday in the Kingdom of Eswatini. I thank you.
The Acting Minister of Information, Communication and Technology, Mangoba Khumalo, says government is committed to ensuring that the internet and different forms of ICT soon become affordable and accessible for all in the country. The minister was speaking at the Hilton Garden Inn Hotel during the handover of laptops and laptop trolleys donated by the Eswatini Communications Commission to 20 schools and the University of Eswatini. The laptops and other ICT development projects were handed over to the Minister for Education and Training, Lady Howard Mabuza.
The Eswatini Communications Commission, through its Universal Access and Services Committee, has handed over 945 laptops and 21 laptop trolleys, which will be given to 20 schools from across the kingdom. Other projects that were undertaken by the Universal Access and Services Committee this year include the installation of free Wi-Fi to different ports of entry in Eswatini, installation of a GSM network in several rural communities, a specialized ICT connection to 5 rural clinics, amongst other projects. When presenting the laptops, the Acting Minister of ICT, Mangoba Khumalo, described affordable and easy access to the internet as a key development milestone in the country's quest to achieve first world status by the year 2022.
The fund seeks to eliminate from the vocabulary words like underserved or unserved areas, as well as words like the digital divide. These words will have no place in the kingdom in the near future because of the work that has been done under this particular program. The goal of the Universal Access and Service program is exactly that.
The Minister of Education and Training, Lady Howard Mabuza, says the outbreak of COVID-19 compels schools in Eswatini to strengthen ICT education facilities.
As a Minister of Education and Training, it always gives us complete gratification to be able to assist our learners who are our future leaders. Program Director, ladies and gentlemen, this donation is benefiting the following educational institutions.
Development projects undertaken by the Universal Service and Access Committee are made possible by the license fees paid by the country's mobile phone and telecommunication industry players, including Eswatini Mobile, MTN Eswatini, and the Eswatini Posts and Telecommunications. For Eswatini TV News, Hlengiwe Ndlovu with Mbongwa Dube in Babane.
The Acting Minister of ICT, Mangoba Khumalo, has announced new board members of the Royal Science and Technology Park. The new board comprises 7 members and is chaired by Dr. Pindile Masangane.
Acting Minister of ICT Mangoba Khumalo has appointed 5 new members who are namely Professor Theodore Davis, Simile Dlamini, Sipho Vilagati, Phiwa Nkambule, Vumile Dlamini, and he has also reinstated Nzingeko Dlamini. He has urged the board to ensure that RSTP benefits Eswatini and it contributes towards the country's GDP, bringing the gap between the research and development and institutions and the private sector.
Of local products and services, to mention but a few. You all must be aware that the nation envisages RSTP as the vehicle to attain the country's development goals. This was evidenced during the official opening of the RST Park when His Majesty King Mswati III in his speech commissioned RSTP to generate $10 $10 billion per year. Such is the expectation from this facility. And
the new chairperson, Dr. Pindile Masangani, says she was educated by the government of Eswatini and she longs to giving back and plowing her skills.
I have served a number of nations, commercializing technology. I'm right now responsible for making sure that the gas industry in South Africa grows. And as I plow my skills in other countries, I was really longing to plow my skills back into the country.
The appointment is for a period not exceeding 3 years. Reporting, I'm Lungwelele Makakula with Muzim Konda at Pochweni.
The Health Minister, Lizingosi, together with the Natural Resources Minister, Peter Bembe, has opened a borehole that uses solar energy to operate at Timbutini under Mafuteni constituency.
Timbutini community under Mafuteni constituency will now have access to clean water, following a collaboration between the Ministry of Health and an American-based organization called Listen, where they joined hands in digging a borehole which will use solar power to pump water to be used by the community. The Minister for Health, Lizingosi, says if the country could have 100% water coverage, waterborne diseases and other ailments would be a thing of the past in the kingdom. The Minister for Natural Resources, Peter Bembe, says it is very important for the community to be cautious on how they use the water because clean water is life and it should be used well. The Mafuteni Member of Parliament, Lady Howard, who is also the Minister for Education, Howard says the constituency needs assistance in terms of ensuring that community members have access to clean water. Accessing clean water is in line with the nation's vision that every Eswatini should have access to clean water by the year 2022. The vision also adheres to the United Nations Sustainable Goals, Goal number 6, that focuses on having access to clean water and sanitation for everyone by the year 2030. At the beginning of this month, government reported that 26 boreholes were rehabilitated and 11 new boreholes were constructed. The Prime Minister reported that 5 water schemes were resuscitated. This project will benefit 14,000 people in the country. Reporting for TV News is Tembelihle Makutwa with Temba Shabangu at Timbutini.
The Minister for Health, Lizingosi, has handed over to the Minister for Youth Affairs a refurbished youth center at Lutse constituency.
The Ministry of Youth Affairs have partnered in rehabilitating the Lutse Youth Center to ensure that government's goal of decentralization is achieved. The Minister of Health, Lizingosi, says HIV and AIDS still remains one of the main public health issues affecting the Eswatini population, with an annual incidence of 1.3% among people aged 15 years and older. She says that this indicates that the country still needs to concentrate on making sure that the gains the country has made in responding to HIV are not lost.
Laba 15 and older, HIV solo ikhungetse 27%.
The Minister of Youth says the future of the country rests with young people and investing in their health is beneficial.
Insha yala Lutse isonzele kule sakhiwo As a ministry, we will ensure that the center is well taken care of and that it continues to serve the community in a productive manner. Together with our Eswatini National Youth Council, we will work towards upscaling programs offered through this structure.
Through inhlangano yethu yaka Eswatini National Youth Council.
Youth Representative Siboniso Mapalala says the youth center will make a meaningful impact to the lives of the youth. He says now they will participate in the identification of health challenges facing their community and further try to find solutions through the knowledge they will get at the center. Lute, Member of Parliament Vusi Swali, says the rehabilitated structure will benefit many young people in the constituency who have been longing for this opportunity. The UN Youth Strategy 2030 emphasizes a world in which the human rights of every young person are realized, a world that realizes that a young person is empowered to achieve their full potential. Reporting, I'm Lungilele Makakula with Muzim Konda at Lute.
The Ministry of Economic Planning and Development has held a constructive meeting with members of Parliament on the review of the National Population Policy. The Principal Secretary in the Ministry, speaking on behalf of the Minister, Dr. Tambo Gina, says the reason for the meeting was to discuss the relevance of the policy as it was last reviewed 17 years ago.
One of the reasons that necessitated the National Population Policy Consultative Meeting is that the country has had two national censuses while the policy has not been reviewed. The Minister of Economic Planning and Development Principal Secretary Peggy Bembe, speaking on behalf of Minister Dr. Tambo Gina, says the first national census was on 2007 while the other one was on 2017. He says this national census has indicated changes in the country's population.
The major developments we've had is two population censuses that have shown a significant development. Firstly, on the growth of the population growth has reduced from 3.2% to 0.9%. Secondly, life expectancy has significantly improved from 43 years to 60 years. Now we are saying, as a country, we are very much poised for a demographic dividend. Are we ready to benefit from the demographic dividend?
The United Nations Population Fund Country Director Margaret Twala says the need to review the policy was highly necessary.
The country has undertaken two rounds of censuses, a census of 2007 and a population and housing census of 2017, and indicators that relate to the welfare of the population were actually already wanting to show that this policy needs to be reviewed.
The members of parliament who attended the meeting were represented by Sandleni Member of Parliament Noah Gama. Gama says the members of parliament support the policy review.
You cannot have economic development if the population is not controlled. So we need this control mechanism so that we see the way forward.
Eswatini population is equivalent to 0.01% of the total world population. For Eswatini TV News, Fortune Dlangamandla, Ezulwini.
Ministry of Home Affairs headquarters will be closed from Thursday to Friday. The Principal Secretary in the Ministry, Nhlanhla Nxumalo, says this is because one of the officers has tested positive for coronavirus.
Following the discovery of one of our employees as the Minister of Home Affairs who was discovered to be COVID-19 positive, the ministry has decided to close the head office for the next 2 days, meaning Thursday and on Friday. We will be closed for business while the relevant stakeholders will be fumigating our offices to make sure that the place is safe again for our employees to continue operations on Monday.
The Ministry of Health has received 19 doctors from Cuba who have come to help Eswatini in the fight against coronavirus. The 19 doctors who come from Cuba's contingent of specialized doctors in disaster and serious emergencies arrived through Ngwenya port of entry.
COVID-19 Cuban doctors have come to assist Eswatini in the kingdom's raging fight against the outbreak of coronavirus, as statistics released by the Ministry of Health on Tuesday evening show that the kingdom had recorded 3,989 confirmed COVID-19 cases. Principal Secretary in the Ministry of Health, Dr. Simon Zwane, who welcomed the doctors at Ngwenya border post, highlighted that some of the doctors are specialists in epidemiology, critical care, and internal care medicine. The doctors will be in Eswatini for a period not less than 3 months, and during their stay, some of them will help the country develop a national COVID-19, diabetes mellitus, and cardiac disease response program. Arriving alongside the contingent of Cuban doctors were 3 doctors from Eswatini who have just completed their studies in Cuba. Dr. Piogo Akema, who is one of the 3 Eswatini doctors who just completed his studies in Cuba, says Cuba's strong point in the country's fight against COVID-19 is on preventative measures.
So, gule leligwane lesi face lona i-COVID lo kumto kakhulu isengakatholakali i-vaccine. So lo kumto kakhulu le vaccine ngithi thine bantu. So kufuna thine sibe responsible. Kuhlala emakhaya sivikele lokugcona utindzawo letigcwele bantu nako lokho. So lanko those are some of lama measures le iCuba iwenda. Lo munye ungakhanza ukuthi uyativikela, but uma makhelwane wakho angatinakekeli kangako utawuthola ukuthi so uyakwendlulisela lesi sifo lesibhekene naso lapha even Eswatini yatsingakala bodokotela.
He says Cubans are quite sensitive and highly considerate of the advice given by health workers as they take social distancing, hygiene, and other measures of preventing COVID-19 very seriously. The Cuban doctors will be deployed to different health facilities and COVID-19 treatment centers in Eswatini. For Eswatini TV News, Hlengwen Love with Mbongatube at Oshok.
The Shiselweni Regional Administrator, Dr. Vincent Mhlanga, says in the late Chief Nzameya Nhlabati, the region has lost a pillar and a man who was dedicated in his work, especially in the development of the region.
Chief Nzameya Nhlabati has been described as a man who loved and was fully devoted to the nation and the Swazi customs and tradition. The regional administrator of the Shiselweni region, Dr. Vincent Mhlanga, says the late chief would always attend national events no matter the circumstances. He says many other chiefs and leaders in the region, including himself, were safely guarded by his wisdom and experience. The Deputy Prime Minister, Themba Masuku, says he knows the late chief from childhood as they attended high school together at Velebanfu New Haven High School. Masuku says the late chief led his life and work with humility, sincerity, and was devoted to the development of his community and the nation at large.
The country has lost a lot. You know, it's such a great loss because Chief Nzameya was one of the chiefs that focused so much on development, and he actually pushed such that the 977, the paramedics that are at Dumago, he pushed that almost single-handedly to have that established in that area. And Dumago is actually under his area. And he improved the school, Gamzila, and he was passionate with all things that relate to development. And he was once a member of the portfolio committee of the Deputy Prime Minister's office. He worked so hard to make sure that we improved the welfare of persons with disability, children, and the elderly. And, you know, we worked together so very well, and when we were drafting the disability bill, he had a big hand in the discussions, and also when we did the Children's Protection and Welfare Act.
Chief Nzame Nhlabathi passed away on Friday and he will be laid to rest on Thursday this week. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, Sifiso Nxumalo with Smuva Shongwe, Hlangano.
Directors of a newly established refrigerator components manufacturing firm known as Components Manufacturing Eswatini have announced that they'll be investing 10 million emalangeni, which will go towards establishing a new plant in Matapa. The directors, Ryden Olmark and Billy Foster, gave assurance that they are ready to roll out this project as soon as all government approval processes are complete.
In an era when government is seeking for ways to resuscitate the kingdom's economy, which has been battered by, amongst other things, the outbreak of coronavirus, yet amid the raging COVID-19 crisis, a new company whose area of specialization is on manufacturing refrigerator components has been set up. Directors of Components Manufacturing Eswatini say their proposed venture will create more than 20 job opportunities. One of the directors of Components Manufacturing Eswatini, Ryden Olmark, explained that the fridge parts they will be manufacturing will be supplied to fridge manufacturer Pal Fridge in Matapa.
The reason we're looking at it is because Pal Fridge is currently importing these components from either South Africa or China. So we believed we'd rather create jobs and bring those processes to Swaziland or Eswatini rather than supporting import markets, So there are a broad range of components we'll be making.
Billy Foster, who is also a director in this new venture, made an assurance that the tools and equipment required for production processes have been procured. He says the fridge parts they will manufacture come with much needed energy-saving innovations.
The fridges do become slightly more efficient, so you use slightly less electricity when you're running it. That's part of it, and then freezer shelves. So currently also imported from China. That's the actual shelves that cools inside the freezer. It's becoming a more important part of our business, so we need to look at it.
The new company is expected to produce fridge components worth over 17 million emalangeni in the first year of operations. For Eswatini TV News, Hlengiwe Ndlovu with Mbongwa Dube at Matapa.
Let's take a look at our sports news. Premier League of Eswatini Chairman Peter Makagula says the right decision that would benefit both clubs and the football fraternity would be to resume the games and finish them for both the Premier League and the National First Division.
This week, the National Football Association will be deciding on the future of the current football season. According to the chairman of the Premier League of Eswatini, Peter Makagula, a decision that is fair to the league and the clubs at large is to proceed with the games and finish the 2019-2020 football season.
As people, as leader in Premier League, that decision.
Makagula says this will be in everyone's interest if the league is to be finished, especially clubs. However, when you look at the preparations on getting the teams tested and the players and other necessaries to return in the field of play, it will cost around 5 million emalangeni.
The teams before I tried over quite in the facility,
Recently, the acting chief executive officer of Eswatini TV, Ncedisi Maisela, highlighted that if the Football Association does request the broadcast of the games, they will be open to discussions, sit and discuss if it is possible. Makagula says this issue is in the pipeline, and once the decision is made on Thursday, they are looking to approach the national broadcast.
To show a decision that outside Faxasa, executive, it's a ground. We have to involve Msagato with it from ube nalawo games lista ukhona ukuthi siwakhiphe emoyeni ema supporters akhona kwabukela.
Magagula concluded, highlighting that if the games return, stadiums like King Sobhuza Memorial II, Mayoga Stadium and Mhlume Stadium will be the one to be used. Football games in the country were suspended back in March due to the ongoing coronavirus pandemic. For Eswatini TV Sports, Fabrice Msumera, Mbabane.
The African Football Mother Body, CAF, has announced that the 2021 AFCON qualifiers will resume in November. Slangu Semnigati is expected to play back-to-back matches against Congo in November.
The African Football Motherboard CAF has revealed that the 2021 AFCON qualifiers games will resume from the month of November this year. According to CAF, the games will begin November within the week of the 9th to the 17th of November this year. National team Sihlangu Semnigati is in Group I alongside Senegal, Guinea-Bissau and Congo, and will also take part of the games. In the previous game, Sihlangu was defeated by Guinea-Bissau by 3-0, and then later on at Mavso Sports Center with Senegal 4-1. Return of the games on the week of the 9th to the 17th of November this year, Sihlangu Semnigati will play back-to-back matches against Congo, where the first game will be played in Congo. On the week of the 22nd to the 30th of March next year, Sihlangu will begin by hosting Guinea-Bissau and conclude their group stages fixtures in Dakar, Senegal, against Senegal. The Chief Executive Officer of the National Football Association, Frederick Mgometuru, confirmed the report. Mgometuru says even though the situation is not a conducive one due to the ongoing coronavirus pandemic, the national team will take part of the games. Head coach Dominic Gunene also confirmed that he will, with the boys, represent well the country. Gunene concluded, highlighting that the Football Association decision on the future of the current season will give them a go-ahead on how to go about the selection of the players. For Eswatini TV Sports, Fabrice Msumera, Mbabane.
We've reached the end of our bulletin, but before we wrap up, let's take a quick recap of the headlines. The Minister of Home Affairs, Princess Lindiwe, has announced that August 31 will be the Umhlanga holiday. The Acting Minister of Information, Communication and Technology, Mancoba Khumalo, says government is committed to ensuring that the internet and different forms of ICT soon become affordable and accessible for all. The Ministry of Health has received 19 doctors from Cuba who have come to help Eswatini fight the coronavirus. Eswatini, that is all the news we had for you tonight. Up next is the weather forecast. Good night and God bless.
Everywhere you go, MTN.